Hey everyone, it's Jane. I hope you're having a great week. I have a bunch of stamps sitting on my table waiting for me to use, and I finally grabbed the Concord 9th Stitch Turnabout stamp set. I made a bunch of cards. I'm featuring 5 of them here today. They are all using the exact same stamp set, just different cardstock and different inks. I try to use a bunch of different techniques, and I hope you guys enjoy them. I have used some Catherine Pooler inks, some Lawn Fawn inks, and I said some different types of cardstock. Let's get into it. Here is the stamp set. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Concord 9th Turnabout stamps. There's some bunch of YouTube videos online, but they now come with a template. I cut my Nina Desert Storm cardstock to 6x6, and I'm going to be doing some heat embossing with the Nouveau glitter, and I will have all of my products linked below in the YouTube description, or if you go to my blog post, they will have the more detailed description. I put a little bit of temporary adhesive behind my 6x6 paper, and I'm laying my template on top, and then I lay the outer layer of the stamp set exactly on that template, and that way I know it'll fit. I lay down my cardstock with the Tombow temporary adhesive. Sorry about the spiky hair. It always gets in the videos. And that way I can ensure that my cardstock won't move. I hit it really well with my embossing bag, and I ink up this stamp set with my Versamark ink, and I use my microfiber cloth to get a good impression. I think I did that about 2 or 3 times because my Versamark ink needs re-inked. I then take my glitter ink and I sprinkle it on. Now, the Turnabout stamps you do 4 different times. You do it 1 time, and then you turn it, and then you do it a 2nd time, and 3rd and 4th. So there will be a number 1 in the corner of my card so I can keep track. I love the way embossing powder melts and comes out awesome. And this Nouveau powder is so cool because it doesn't flake and fall off. So this is my first time stamping the card. Now I'm going to take it, I'm going to do my embossing bag a 2nd time. See, I put the number 1 in the corner. I'm making it a 1/4 turn counterclockwise. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing again. And in hindsight, I probably could have done them all and then embossed them all at the same time because Versamark ink does stay wet for a very long time. But I did it 4 different times. It didn't seem to be a problem. This is the very last time I did it, and look how absolutely amazing that is. So you stamp it 1 time, you turn it to the counterclockwise, stamp it a 2nd time, turn it counterclockwise, and keep on going. This particular card, I'm going to use the My Favorite Things inks there. I'm starting out, I did the red one, and I'm sorry about the bounce. I see that now. My tripod is sitting on the table. I got to figure out something different. Anyhow, in the meantime, as you can see, I turned it 1/4 turn counterclockwise, wiping it off really well. Now I'm going to use the orange ink. And you can really see the different layers here when I use the different colors inks. Use my microfiber cloth again to get a really good impression. Turn it a 1/4 turn counterclockwise. I am cleaning my stamp with a baby wipe. You'll see I switched to a Lawn Fawn stamp chamois because that baby wipe was leaving a lot of lint behind, and I will no longer use that particular brand of baby wipe. I really had no idea. And look how absolutely amazing that looks with those 4 different colors. I just love the way these stamps turn out. I am now using my Catherine Pooler inks. And in this particular situation, I wish I did not have minis because it takes a little bit of time to stamp with the minis. But as you can see, I'm now moving to my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois because I realized that I was getting a lot of lint and things in my stamp. See that? I'm pulling that right off there. Going to the blue layer, the yellow layer, stamp it, turn it 1/4 turn counterclockwise. I always put a number in the corner, the number 1, so I know where I started. And that one came out really cool too. This is Simon Says Stamp cardstock with Simon Says Stamp ink. This is Lawn Fawn cardstock with a Simon Says stamp blue ink. And you can see I am now stamping the middle. This particular stamp set comes with a separate center. So I am stamping the center of the Concord 9th stitch turnabout. And I've done 2 turns, and this is my 3rd time. And then I'm going to do it one more time. And I really love this tone on tone look. It really just makes it very muted and very cool. I am now grabbing this particular one, and I'm going to stamp with those same inks that I used before, lining it all up. This is where the Misty comes in handy. You just have to line it up one time, and you can do multiple cards at once. And I love doing multiple cards at once, and I try to see how much can I get out of one stamp set. How many things can I stamp out of one stamp set? That is always my goal. Then I could have gone on and on. I just ran out of time. Now I'm taking a separate 6x6 piece of cardstock, and I am stamping this 4 times with the same colors that I used before, because I'm going to cut this one out separately with a Hero Arts Infinity Circle. And I'm going to do it again with the Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm going to stamp it 4 times. There's my hair again. This one is in real time. Sometimes I think I speed them up too fast. If you guys have any comments or any thoughts or anything you think I might need to be doing differently, let me know. I then took my Brutus and Monroe embossing powder and I stamped it on top of this because I wanted to have it a little bit of shine, and I used the Hero Arts fine clear embossing powder, and then I did heat emboss that. And I'm going to be doing that 4 different times. Now is the yellow, and then I did the embossing powder, then the purple, and then the pink. And I put the embossing powder on all of it, and I cut it all out with my Hero Arts Infinity Circle. And that was my original plan, was to have those 2 colors together, and I did not like them. So I got a 6x6 piece of cardstock, did the 4 turns on this one again, 1 turn counterclockwise, 1 turn counterclockwise. Did the gold on this one. Really heat up my Wagner heat tool, and there we go. There it is melting for us. Really cool. And I'm going to cut this out with another Infinity Hero Art Circle, and I'm going to put that on top of the card and see how much better that looks. I just love that. I think that looks so much better. I've cut an 11 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, scoring it in half, so I have a finished card of 5.5 by 5.5. I have some great 6x6 envelopes that I will link to. I have a scrap piece of vellum here. It's Gina 40K, 40-pound vellum. 40K, wouldn't that be nice? And I am using my embossing buddy, and I'm putting that same Nouveau Gold on top of that, and I'm going to really heat my heat gun up really well, otherwise my vellum will warp, and I cut that out with that same circle. I'm now putting a bunch of foam tape on the back. I have little pieces cut in my drawer, and I'm going to lay that on top of the circle here, trying to line up where the hearts go. Which way do I want it? Right, left. Then I'm going to put that Thinking of You on top. Now, if you've never used vellum before, when you put down glue, it usually shows through. So I'm trying to plan where I want my little jewels on the outside, and I'm putting little tiny dots where the Thinking of You is so it won't show through. And then there's a Jane Shine fail. I pulled out my jewels and they all fell all over, and I realized I didn't like those anyhow. I'm now gluing my card, my Thinking of You, and I put gold enamel dots on there. And I apologize that this video is so fast. I need to get better at my videos. I keep all of my cardstock that I love in little rings, and I go through to see which one I want. I cut the red color that I want. Again, all the products will be linked below. In the stamp set, there is a stitched heart. So I'm laying that out, and I'm using Catherine Pooler blue ink to stamp that heart. I guess I'm afraid that my videos are going to be too long. I don't want you to get bored. And on the other hand, they're so fast that you can't even see what I'm doing. I am fussy cutting this out because I do not have a die cut. And if you notice, I keep the scissors still and I turn the heart. That is how you can get a really good cut. And I'm going to put that in the middle of the card. But before I do that, I wanted to stamp my sentiment. I always put the plastic on top first, that way it doesn't pick up the cardstock. I put foam tape behind the center and I glued the Stitched in Love on top. And then I covered the whole thing with Nouveau Crystal Glaze. Here's another example of me trying to figure out what color blue I wanted to go with. I went with the Lawn Fawn blue. Rather than raising up the circle this time, I thought it might be fun to put dimension behind the perimeter of the circle. So I'm cutting a piece of foam. Got some cheap craft foam. I'm putting a pencil mark on there so I know where to cut my circle. I'll cut the exact same circle and then I will glue that foam to the back of that front. And you'll see that I will line this up on the front of the card. And I'm kind of put the circle in the center, draw a line there so I know where to put it, do a couple of tick marks so I can line it up, and that way I know that my circle is lined up in the middle. I'm now grabbing my Joy die cut. Again, that will be listed below. I layered 3 of them for added dimension. And then I will glue that to the card front. I just think that came out so nice. The colors are so vibrant. It's just so fun again to see. Now I'm gluing down the tittle. I don't know if you knew that the top of the eye is called a tittle. I put 3 layers of that on there as well for that added. And I use my Crystal Catania jewel picker to pick it up. I'm taking the blue one and I am making a vellum strip on that one. And then again, it's Ellen Hudson 40-pound vellum. And I'm laying it out. I'm putting my tape around it. It's very strong adhesive. Getting it all lined up and cutting off all the edges. And I really like the way it looked. But I'm going to go back and add some embellishments in a minute. I grabbed the Stamp Market Hugs and Hello stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it and heat emboss it with white heat embossing Brutus Monroe alabaster powder 3 times to give it some added dimension. If you ever make a mistake with your embossing powder, just grab yourself a little craft knife and scrape it off and you'll never even know it was there. I'm then going to cut this out with the matching die, and I will have a die cut with a little bit of raised dimension. I take the negative space and put it on top of my card. That way I can line up my letters and know where they're supposed to go. I use my T ruler to make sure it's all straight. And then I'm going to tape down my negative space. And then I will glue the back of all that die cut that I'd made with the white heat embossing on it and put it all in the little areas. And I have to work kind of quickly because I don't want the glue to dry. There might be a little bit on that negative space that I don't want it to be all stuck on there. And the last letter I got is the A, and then you'll see that I'm going to carefully peel this up and go really, really slow. Hold down the letters so that I don't pull them up off the card base. And I usually put something heavy on top of everything. I use my phone to video, so I usually use an acrylic block or something like that to hold everything down. And get my Tim Holtz, I call it pokey tool. I have no idea what it's called. And there you have the paper hug. I put a little string from my stash, put a little bow around the top. So I felt that this happy birthday card was a little bit boring, so I went through and added some jewels and they are discontinued. I'm sorry, you can't get them anymore. And I'm putting a little bit behind each jewel to keep that vellum strip stuck down. And I got a little too much glue there, so I'm picking away with my Crystal Catania. And there's my heavy block that I'm putting down. I'm using my Nuvo Glossy White accents. The first thing you do when you use them is take them to a scrap piece of paper and burp them to get the air out. And then you can make big accents or dots, little ones, as big or as little as you want. Just make sure you set them aside to dry. So here's a look at all the cards. Here's the happy birthday with the jewels on top with the tone on tone. Then you have the one with the Simon Says stamp, fog, paper, and ink with the paper hug die cut. The next one you have is this beautiful, vibrant card with a Joey die cut. You have the Nina Desert Storm with the gold. And last but not least, you have the Stitch Together with Love. I hope you like them, guys. I'm working on getting better at the videos. I'm going to slow down my next one. You'll probably say I'm talking too slow. Have a great week. Thanks for stopping by.